everybody, thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at Joshua of Grand Rapids, Michigan is the name of the artist's book, Thankless Opus. This was sent to me by Matthew Mackman at 3T Publishing, who does the awesome Told to Tell anthology. I'll do a separate video for these. These came with it. But he sent along also this book that he produced and released, the Thankless Opus by Joshua of Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is a pretty interesting little book. It leans into like the creator talking about themselves. He even says at the beginning of it, white masculine panic is famously overexplored in comics like this, but this is a free comic, so don't expect anything groundbreaking. And I like that right out the beginning, like, you know, it's kind of like, I know there's some problems with this, but it was something I needed to do. There's a bit in the front here about, you know, what was going on, what he was thinking about when he was making this, the lean into the subconsciousness and all that stuff. And it's saying that also when this came out, upon crafting a pre-2020 story about pandemic, social justice discourse, alienation, and a riot, I wasn't trying to say anything about any of that. I was just along for my own ride. As the June 2020 riots broke out while folks received the last of my copies in the mail, I felt a little like I no longer recognized my own work. And then obviously with a pandemic coming, that must have also felt weird. So working in 2019, not being prophetic, but just looking at what was going on and extrapolating from there. You start off with an artist at a comic convention selling his work, basically getting mad that no one's really paying attention to his stuff. And one of these issues of the creator's work like flies outside and hits this character that looks like a fucked up homeless Muppet here and is excited he's got a free comic. The puppets, the Muppets, the pandemic is something that's either affecting these people who are in this puppet category in this society, or it's turning people into these ugly Muppet things. I wasn't quite clear on that. But then you have this really brutal sequence here where this guy steps on the puppet and is like, oh, gross, man. Who leaves a puppet in the gutter? These people. So I think it is that they're puppets in this society and they have a virus that's attacking them, because he says these people have been dropping dead for months. So that's where kind of the idea of like a pandemic comes in, but also the idea of a mistreated underclass or something like that, underrepresented class comes into the story. But once he steps on the puppet, he then goes on to be a character in the story as well. This character is also having a bad day. Here you can see a car splashes water all over him and even like throws a condom up onto onto his shirt, which is like a funny little sight gag, but it actually comes into the story on this page where the guy's going in to like rent a room, and the woman sees that he's got a condom on him and is like, no, you got to get out of here. It's like, what? No, that didn't even come from me. So we follow that a little bit. Then we get some totally weird psychedelic things. And then there starts to be a few different stories cycling. You have this character here who's having a bad day. You have the puppet thing, and then you have the comic convention. There's also a riot that kicks off as the plush body plague protests are going on. We are sick, you know, they're out there protesting for their rights and for someone to take care of them, which me dealing with someone who has, long COVID now, it's like I want to go out and riot as well. Like, you know, we got to take care of you. have a whole swath of society who's now disabled thanks to this disease, and we're really, as far as I can tell, not doing anything to help them or support them. We haven't been able to get any kind of disability for Tori so she can have an income or anything like that. So that's what these puppet people are dealing with. And then you see that the police brutality comes in, progressive and responsive on the license plate here as they're running people over. So some really cool brutal art there showing like these riots and everything going down. And at the end of the thing, we kind of cycle back into the comic convention where the riots happened outside of the convention. and you can see the cosplayers and stuff that are all beat up. And then there's some weird things, like these weird alien creatures out there. But I really like towards the end of the book, this one panel here has, to me, what sums up the message of the book. We lash out at the world as if people who have it just as bad off as we do are part of this society out to get us. It's so fucking narcissistic. And I think that's a pretty good condemnation of the majority of what I hear in the public discourse today is everyone's pissed off at everyone, and everyone that's pissed off at everyone's not in that. I mean, like, I'm in a better spot than a lot of people, I guess, but I mean, not really. Also, I have a partner who's disabled. We're, struggling to make it. Like, it's hard to buy a house. Like, I know that that's a problem. Like, being able to buy a house maybe potentially already puts me up in a higher category, but this whole like 1% versus the 99%, why are all of us in the 99% arguing and bickering over these things? They're using them to turn us against each other, and I really like that. Like, why are we lashing out at these other people who are just trying to get by in their day-to-day? And I always try and remind myself of that. It's not always easy. I mean, driving down the road, someone acts like an asshole, and it's easy to forget that they're having a stressful day as well. But as frequently as possible, I try and remember that and operate as if I'm remembering that. And so, as crazy and as wild and as like edgy as this book looks, I think it actually comes out with a pretty good message at the end of it. And I quite enjoyed it. When I opened it up and looked at the art and saw some of the like nasty puppets and things like that, I thought, I don't know if this is going to be my thing. It looks one of those like edgy, just gross to be gross, but it wasn't. It used that to sell something else. So I really enjoyed this. I don't know how many of these Matthew has left. You can reach out to him on Instagram is how he sells stuff. So just look up 3T Publishing on Instagram and you could get yourself a copy of this. I definitely think this one is worth it. This is a cool little book, and Joshua of Grand Rapids is contributing to a lot of the Told to Tell thing. So I'm curious to see what Joshua Grand Rapids does next beyond these, what I've already seen, because quite enjoyed this. And it seems like an artist who works intuitively and is able to say interesting things because of that. House on Fire by Matt Battaglia is a just gorgeous book where Matt's kind of making an emotional response to the years of COVID and wrapping that into a sci-fi dystopian future that really the sci-fi dystopian's backgrounded, and you're focused on the emotional journey of two characters in a really beautiful way. And then that's enhanced by Matt's like really awesome, loose, kind of Paul Popish dry brush work. And then Sean and Matt have worked to get this second kind of orange spot color in there that's going to look really, really beautiful, and has allowed Matt to use his dry brush technique to add tone to the thing too. So with Sean's production technique, this is going to be a gorgeous book with a lot of heart.
Make sure to like, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell.